Developing tonight, imagine that you set up a cannabis business that is certified by the state of New York, only to find out that it's now illegal because of where it is. That is happening in the village of Cuba in Allegheny County, in addition to a bunch of other places. Here's what's happening locally, though. The owners of Canna Labs set up shop right there on West Main Street in the village of Cuba. As you can see, it's pretty close to the elementary school. The state said it was more than 500 feet away from the school's entrance, so everything seemed fine. But now the Office of Cannabis Management has reversed course and says the law actually prohibits cannabis operations from being within 500 feet of the school's property line, not the main entrance. Aleece Burgio is cannabis business attorney here in Buffalo and joins us tonight. I have a million questions on this because it really just seems a little bit insane. But basically the gist of this is the state has changed its interpretation, and as a result there are a lot of businesses, most of them in New York City, that are now illegal?
Yes, so the big issue is that, like you said, school grounds is now the marker for how far away from you have to be from a school. It doesn't impact house of worship. So the issue here is that imagine you've already been live with a dispensary for 2 years, you're looking for a renewal, and they're not going to grant it to you because you're no longer in compliance with your location. This
Canna Labs facility that is there in the village of Cuba, I went back and looked through some of the minutes from the meetings with village officials, and the owners went through the entire process of getting everything approved, and now they're being told this. The owner was pretty explicit on social media today, very unhappy with the state. What is the recourse for these businesses?
Well, so we're going to start seeing a lot of lawsuits, especially for those that have already been up and running. So there's massive damages there, because imagine that you have put in all this money for locations, you've entered into leases that could be 10-year terms, 20-year terms, and now you're stuck with a lease where you can't operate a store, and you're going to have to move, and the state is only really trying to help you out with like an up to $250,000 grant program.
Yeah, there is some money, we're being told, that can be used to kind of help businesses get through this. It doesn't seem like nearly enough to cover the damages and losses.
No, we could be talking of upward of $1 billion that could be an issue at this time. Yeah.
So something I've seen online, some people suggesting, why doesn't the state legislature just go in and amend the law and say that the law should be the 500 feet from the entrance of a school and not the school line, or at least grandfather in the existing businesses?
We absolutely need the legislator to do something. I don't see us getting an emergency session. It's very unlikely. So we're now going to have to wait until next session, which will be not until the beginning of next year. Yeah. And that's going to be a big problem, especially because all these renewals are coming up. So there's this period of time where people will have to get a renewal, but their location won't be compliant, and we won't have a law yet. So this grandfathered in process really won't be legal technically until we get that law.
The Office of Cannabis Management put out these letters, right, informing the businesses that are impacted by this. What other reaction are we getting from this state agency? Are they just saying, look, our hands are tied, this is the way it is, or are they going to try to work through this with people?
I think that they are going to try to work through with people just because of the backlash. But frankly, if the OCM has known about this, which they claim to have known for a little bit now, during session, which had just ended, obviously in June, this should have been brought to the legislators' attention, at that time, so that something can be done, as opposed to just we're putting a fifth of businesses that are currently operating in danger of non-compliance, which is, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mentioned that most of these are in New York City. Obviously, it's very densely packed there, right? The only one currently operating, we believe, is Canna Labs that I mentioned in Allegheny County. But there are other businesses, some of which you actually work with, who are trying to get their approvals and are now running into this.
Yes, so there's two categories. There's provisional licensees, which are some licenses that don't have locations tied to it, and then those who have a location and are getting up and running. Now, provisional licensees may have submitted an address that is now no longer compliant, but they may have already engaged in leases, because in order to get a provisional license approved to licensure, you have to have a lease and notice to municipality. So we're already looking at damages for those as well, because they may not be able to exit those leases.
Aleece, I really appreciate you coming and helping us understand this. We showed some medical cannabis video there. I want to be clear, this is not medical cannabis dispensaries. That's a whole different sort of category. But a lot of people talking about this one. Thanks for helping us understand.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.